deceased poultry and things like that, so that you can't use them if we fail them to entertain you. Exits, bathrooms, things like that. If you need the washroom, right through the double doors, they're right back in that foyer area back there. Also, the exits are back there. There are also exits on either side of the stage. And for those of you who fly regularly, there are no exits over the wings. First off, I want to give some thanks to some things. One is to St. Augustine for the use of their facilities and their assistance in our production. We'd also like to thank Hazelton Estate and Mr. Will A. for their invaluable contributions to this production. And finally, there's any number of volunteers who have done all the little things that sometimes get lost in the wind. So I'd like to thank all of those volunteers. That being said, I can say, welcome! Ladies, gentlemen, patrons of the arts, kids of all ages, boys, girls, that's as far as I go. In this world, that's as far as I go. Tonight's presentation brings us to the front of this area of our great state of Indiana, which proves yet again there's more than... Wait, that's copyrighted. There's more than meets the eye in Indiana. Let me use my... I'm old. I can't remember anything anymore. I gotta use notes. What was it? Oh, yeah. There have been all kinds of famous, infamous, notorious people and events and situations that have happened in this general area. Now, until the late 1800s, a very significant portion of Newton County was covered by what was known as Beaver Lake. Not a real deep lake, but a lake. But there was a raised area, a little bit higher, a little bit drier, in the center of the, well, not in the center, but inside the lake, that became known as Bogus Island. Because the nefarious people that hung around and plied their illegal trades here and there included a number of people who drove the counterfeiting trade that reached out as far as Chicago and Joliet and places like that. There's one section in that area that is now called Kankakee Sands, and it supports a thriving herd of bison. Now, if you've not been, go. They are magnificent, shaggy beasts, a lot like me. You laugh. I have to look at this every morning. And of course, with Morocco, I'm sure you've all heard of Sam Rice, the Baseball Hall of Famer. He's from Morocco. Now, this area, a little more illicit here, this area is also known for the existence of ditchweed. You know what that is? That is the remnants of what was once a thriving industry of farming hemp. And hemp was and still is a very strong, useful material. During the World War, WW2, Jasper County was given an award for its efforts in hemp. Now, and hemp was such widely... Henry Ford once built a car with body panels that were made of a hemp-based material. And rumor has it that one caught fire and burned. Nobody cared. Until they ran out of snacks. And as long as we're talking about snacks, you'll notice we have a snack bar. And you will note on the signs it says, suggested donation. Now, for me, I would say required plus. Now, there's a reason for this. All the donations go to the Gary Laird Scholarship Fund, which offers an annual scholarship to college-level students who are studying the performing arts. So I have a suggestion. Buy lots of popcorn. Put lots of salt on it. Then buy lots of drinks. I mean, what's a little heartburn when you're putting a kid through school? I mean, come on. I'm being facetious about that thing. The reason for our being here tonight is to experience the work of one of America's great humorists, along in the vein of Mark Twain and Will Rogers. He wrote for the Chicago Tribune. He also wrote essays, short stories, plays. He still holds the record for having the most plays to run concurrently on Broadway. That's a heck of a thing to do. You know, if he were around today, I'd like to think he would probably be a blogger. So I want you to sit back, because this man's humor was gentle, but his thoughts were profound. So please, sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the work of Newton County's favorite son, the honored and honorable George A.
Good evening. My name is George A. George, when I wrote several of the plays, the Volstead Act was enacted. Can anybody tell me what the Volstead Act was?
Prohibition.
What's,
Prohibition.
I thought I had a plant back here. that
Prohibition.
said
They said prohibition?
Yes, it was prohibition. I wrote during that time I wrote The Old Time Saloon. It's all about what drinking was like before Prohibition, during, and after. So I will be reading excerpts of my work for you between each actor. So I will start. A good bartender in a real swagger place during the pre-war wetness had to acquire almost a liberal education in order to know how to concoct all of the cocktails, rickeys, fizzes, cobblers, punches, and other fearful and wonderful compounds. Only an artist of the first rank could properly build up a pousse café, permit the absinthe to drip so as to properly opalescent and sufficiently potent. The hotel mixers had to make punches and cups, the latter compounded of light wines with mineral water or mint, sliced lemon, pineapple, and very often a long strip of cucumber floating around like a flotsam in a ferry slip. Some of the punches made up for private celebrations were about the most deadly output of the sophisticated bar. There was one called artillery punch, which used cold, strong tea as a base and called for portions of brandy, rum, and other high-powered distillations. If you ever saw an unabridged guide for the bartenders, you may recall that it was almost as thick as a family medicine book. It contained hundreds of recipes, from them still known by the names invented in the old mining and cattle towns of the West and the Southwest. In a large bar catering to a trade with included travelers from everywhere, the lad in the white jacket had to be letter perfect on his repertoire, longer than that of a tenor in the Metropolitan. New cocktails were being invented and christened every week. If some genius in New Jersey thought up a combination of applejack, plain syrup, diced apples, and a dash of lemon juice and called it the Jack Rose, the artist at a palace in San Francisco would be all set within 2 weeks to take care of some smarty from the East who strolled in and casually asked for a Jack Rose. It was a matter of pride with the mixers at the important drinking headquarters to know all about every combination which had come into favor in any part of the country. The supreme humiliation was to be compelled to ask, well, how do I make that? A good Waldorf specialist could put together one of 50 different cocktails without making a false move or reaching for the wrong bottle. And he would have died of shame if compelled to use a shaker. When plain and fancy barroom drinking was in favor, no one was ever seen in a saloon a silver container with a lid on top and a spout sticking out the side. The shaker seems to have originated in the British colonies, and it made no headway in the United States until it became a byproduct of Prohibition. More on this later. Oh, I have been told to remind you to shut off your phones. I don't know what that means. So I asked, and they said, well, so they don't bother anybody else. And I thought, you know, when I was sitting at my desk over at Hazelton writing, if I didn't want to be bothered by the phone, I just picked up the handset and said, off the cradle onto my desk. Nobody bothered me. That is, until Maggie, the operator, she would come on, Mr. A, Mr. A. I'd pick up the phone. Yes, Maggie, what is it? Oh, I'm so glad you're okay. I said, okay. She goes, well, your phone has been off the hook. And I said, yes, I'm trying not to be disturbed. Oh. Well, just hang it up because my board looks really weird with only one light lit up. So I see we're all set up here for our first play. This scene is the scene of a successful lawyer in downtown, oh, let's say Boston.
Good day. Is Mr. Peckham in? Is Mr. Peckham in? Yes, he is. Right this way. Mr. Peckham,
Yes, what is it?
express package for you, sir.
Oh. Oh, it's from Lexington. Any charges on it?
No, sir.
Oh, then I'll take it.
All right. Just need you to sign right there. I see you're with us in the good work.
What work?
I see you wearing that blue ribbon there.
Oh, well, don't let my problems worry you. I wear that ribbon in self-defense.
Don't you believe in temperance?
Believe in temperance? Why, of course I do. But what is temperance? Moderation. Moderation in everything. But at present, this town is on a jag, a pronounced jag of moderation. Why, it's the most intemperate community on the planet.
Don't let Mrs. Peckham hear you say that.
You never mind about Mrs. Peckham. If you have any other business to do, by all means, don't let me detain you.
All right, sir. Didn't mean to make you mad.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Good day, Mrs. Peckham.
Is Mr. Peckham in?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you tell him I want to see him, please?
Mrs. Peckham wishes to see you.
Holy mackerel, my wife. Tell her to wait a minute.
He says to wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Why? Busy, Horace?
Oh, yes, I expected to be.
What is it, something important in hand?
Well, rather important.
I can wait.
Well, I suppose it will have to.
I want you to go with me today, Horace. The sisters of total abstinence is having a meeting at 3 o'clock.
Well, I would love to go, dear, but I just can't get away. Mean they're meeting again today?
Why, yes, we meet every day. I finished my address.
Well, yes, I know. You read it to me, remember?
Not all of it.
You mean there's more?
Did I read you what I wrote in conclusion of the vice of secret drinking?
Yes, I think so.
I did not, and you know it. Now, do you want to hear it or don't you?
I want to hear it, most certainly.
Then I'll read it to you. Oh, by the way, Horace, I want your opinion, you know, as a lawyer, on a few of my statements. Can a woman get a divorce if her husband drinks?
Well, she can get a divorce whether he drinks or not.
Yes, but isn't it easier if he drinks?
Well, it's certainly easier on the man, yes.
You know what, tell Henry to come, tell Hermione to come in here, I want her to do this too.
Oh, she'll be delighted. Hermione, come in here.
Yes, Mr. Peckham?
You're really going to enjoy this.
I'll read only the concluding few lines. Can a woman get a divorce? Can a woman live with a man who drinks? No. But how are we to be certain our husbands do not drink? I ask again, how? Many of the men who pretend to be with the temperance cause drinks by himself. In private, hiding his bottles in the closet or other secret places. And when he is unobserved, what does he do? Again I ask, what does he do? He takes a drink. Many a man who apparently is a good husband, a tender father, and a pillar of society has in secret compromised with the devil rum and taken a drink, perhaps 2 drinks.
That's true. Is it, Mr.
Well,
Peckham?
how should I know?
But how are we to know who drinks and who doesn't drink? Why, by being suspicious of everyone and keeping our husbands under constant surveillance. The man who drinks in secret is worse than the common drunkard. He's a hypocrite, and when we find one who does, what shall we do with him? I tell you, my sister, we shall expose him. We shall hold him up to public scorn and ignominy. That's what we shall do, and leave him alone in his shame and degradation.
Would like to radical words?
Not at all, my dear.
It's not radical enough.
Well, thank you, Hermione. And you can go with me this afternoon?
Well, as I said before, I would love to go. But I'm expecting 7 clients this afternoon. I'm afraid that I just can't.
Oh, then I'll just go. Don't be late for dinner, Horace.
No, my dear.
Good afternoon, Hermione.
Good day.
Hermione, do you drink?
Certainly not, Mr. Peckham.
Well, you ought to.
And why is that, Mr. Peckham?
Well, you should start in and get all of your drinking done now while you're young and single. Because if you wait till after you're married, you'll have good reason to drink, but you'll be afraid to.
Is he that crazy?
Ow! Hermione, come here.
Yes, Mr. Peckham?
Here's $1. Go out somewhere and get me a large, strong corkscrew. You do know what a corkscrew is, don't you?
Oh, yes, Mr. Peckham.
Well, I didn't know as you did. Now hurry up.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Hermione.
Hello.
Is Peckham in?
Just here. Go in there.
Toodaloo. Hello?
Oh, Barry, you very nearly gave me a heart attack.
Why is that?
Well, you see, my wife, she was here a minute ago, and she came within an ace of catching me opening a bottle of whiskey.
Whiskey.
Shh. Say, Barry, In this closet here is a quart of what is perhaps the finest whiskey that ever came to this town.
I'm from Missouri. Show me.
Well, where are you from?
I don't know.
Well, it came from her brother.
Whose brother?
Why, Mrs. Peckham's, of course. Here, read this. Here.
My dear brother-in-law, I am sending with this a bottle of 40 years old whiskey. I picked up a small lot the other day, paying $17.50 a gallon. I send you a quart, hoping you can use some. It's good for medicinal purposes. Both for your peace of mind and my reputation. Don't let Sarah know about it. Your brother-in-law, John Beverly Jackson. Who's Sarah?
My wife. Now, do you understand?
I should say so. Well, get it out.
I sent Hermione for corkscrew.
Oh, sure. That's something that should be had in every well-regulated family.
Well, I guess it's all right. I'm doing a lot of practice myself.
Oh, this is the best thing to do.
Oh, careful, don't spill any of it.
Ah, welcome to our city. Say, Peckham, it's a shame to drink this. We ought to be eating it with teaspoons. Smell it.
Well, I guess it's good. I'm not much of a judge myself.
Well, say when.
Well, no, hold it, Barrett. I really should not be having any.
What? After it's come all the way from Lexington? And 40 years old? It's the experience of a lifetime.
Well, yes, I know, but it's my wife. If she should find out, well, she can smell that stuff from a mile away. Then it would be all that my life is worth. Say, Barrett, you're lucky not to have married a reformer.
Lucky? Lucky? Why, Peckham, I am married to the most jealous woman in the whole universe. I can't walk out my front door without her thinking there's a blonde waiting for me around the corner. She thinks I have a dark past, the secrets, you know, a real past, terrific thing of past.
Well, there's one thing that's worse than a past.
What's that?
A future, my future. And my wife thinks she's going to have a future. Wants to be a great reformer. Why, a second Susan B. Anthony.
It seems we both have our troubles,
Indeed we have.
which is why we ought to drink.
Well, I don't think I should have any of that without water.
Oh, man, be a sport.
Yes, but you see, I only partake of that stuff maybe once a year or so. And I really would like something for what do you call it?
A chaser.
That's it. That's it. Oh, thank you, sir. Wait here. I'll be back in a minute.
Well, hurry back. I don't want this whiskey to get any older.
Horace! 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 Horace!
Wait, don't go in there.
Why not? I was on the way to one of my I was halfway to my meeting and I forgot one of my gloves in your office.
I know, but you can't go in there.
Why not?
Well, nothing's the matter, my dear.
Why are you trembling so?
I, my dear?
Yes, you, my dear. Why are you walking all around spilling that water all over everywhere?
I was thirsty, and I went out into the hallway to get a glass of water.
Well, why are you spilling it all over the hallway? Don't they let you drink water in the hallway?
Well, yes, of course they do. How foolish of me.
Of all the idiots, I'm going to get my glove and...
No, please don't go in there.
What is the matter? There's someone in there?
Well, yes, it is. That's what I could not explain.
Is it a woman?
No, Sarah. The idea.
You let me in there.
Well, I can't. You see, a friend of mine, Mr. Barrett, came by to see me, but he was taken suddenly ill. So I went out in the hallway to get him a glass of water.
Well, why didn't you say so in the first place? What's the meaning of all this mystery?
Well, his vest and his coat are off, not presentable to a lady. Now, if you'll excuse me for a minute, I'm going to go see if he's all right.
Yes, do.
Barry,
What's up?
put that bottle up out of the way. My wife.
What's the matter?
I told her you were ill.
I don't understand. I feel perfectly fine.
Now, you have to go. I told her you were ill.
Ill.
Yes. Don't forget you're ill.
Oh. What is the matter with that man?
The matter? He was ill.
Ill? Barrett was ill, huh? Huh.
Well, you saw him. Didn't he look ill?
Ill indeed, he was drunk.
No, my dear, you're mistaken.
Why, he was so intoxicated that when he walked, so intoxicated that he could hardly stand up. Do you think I'm a fool? Why the man laughed at me? Does a man laugh when he's ill?
Well, sometimes. Maybe with some illnesses. Maybe he was hysterical.
Mr. Barrett was not hysterical. He was drunk, and you didn't want me to see him, so you tried to shield him from me.
Well, my dear,
There, you admit it. You tried to deceive me.
I do not admit it.
Then why did you hesitate? Why did you hesitate? Mr. Barrett was drunk. I could smell the liquor the moment that door opened.
Well, perhaps he had a little drink. But he's a good fellow. And perhaps I can reform him.
Just as I thought. His wife ought to know about this.
But Sarah,
As soon as I see Mrs. Barrett, I shall tell her. Oh, I'll telephone her.
oh no. Consider that this is none of our business.
Oh, you keep still. Let me see. B. Ballard, Bannister, Barrett. Here it is. I didn't know there were so many Barretts in town. Thomas Barrett, 403. Horace Crank. Horace Crank! Hello, Central.
Sarah, you really don't know her that well.
Will you shut up? Oh, no, not you. Central, give me 403.
But Sarah,
Hush. Mrs. Barrett? Is she there? Will you tell her I want to speak to her, please?
but Sarah, he was ill, not intoxicated. Really, he wasn't.
Hello, Mrs. Barrett? Well, Mrs. Barrett, your husband was at the office of Mr. Peckham, Central Block. No, Central Block. Do you understand? He was drunk. S-O-U-S-E-D, beastly drunk. No, not Mr. Peckham, your husband. Did you get that? Very well. Goodbye. I've done my duty.
I should say you have. Hello, Central. Oh, this is still 403. Hello, 403. Would you tell Mrs. Barrett?
Well, I'm back.
Barrett, what are you doing back here?
How do you like that? What am I doing back here? You don't think I was going to leave without getting a sip of that 40-year-old whiskey, do you? Say, what did you do to me a minute ago?
When was that?
Just a little bit ago, in your office.
You were supposed to be ill. That's what I told my wife.
Did she believe you?
Well, no. But you better know that she thought you were drunk.
Yes, but you told her differently.
I told you were ill, but she didn't believe me.
Well, Peckham, she's your wife. I didn't mean any disrespect.
Oh, of course not.
Well, between you and me, Peckham, I don't give a righteous Rasputin what your wife thinks.
Then it's all right.
Say, don't you think that whiskey's gotten old enough by now?
Well, after this, I think I need that drink by now.
You know, Peckham, I would keep that bottle around and take a sip from it once in a while, just to show her I wasn't scared.
Well, that's the point. I am scared. Well, hold it, not so much.
Oh, don't be afraid. I'm going to take one just the same size myself. But here's looking at you.
Horace! Horace!
Oh, Lord, my wife!
Horace! Horace! So,
Oh, Mrs. Peckham.
what are you doing here?
Do be seated. I was just sitting here, waiting for your husband.
Where is my husband?
I don't know. I haven't seen him.
How did that rum get in here?
Madam, that is not rum. That is whiskey.
Well, how did he get in here?
I don't know. It was here when I came.
I don't believe it. I think you brought it in here, and I want to ask you, aren't you intoxicated enough now?
Madam, I am not intoxicated. I am perfectly sober.
And shame on you for leading a sheep from the temperance fold. Ha! A fool will always laugh at his own folly, but
I don't know how to tell you this, ma'am. That liquor was here when I came. But I propose that if you and I go searching for your husband, I'm sure you can explain it all to your satisfaction.
well, where is he? Where did he go?
I don't know.
Well, where should we look for him at?
I don't know.
No, you know what? He's got to come back sometime. I'll wait for him here.
As you wish. We're waiting.
Fun.
That's his wife.
Who is that? Get rid of that bottle. Put it in the wastebasket. Put it in the safe. Here, give me that.
Oh, no, not in there. Anywhere but there.
Who's there?
Is Mr. Peckham there?
Great Scott, it's my wife.
So, I have caught you at last, have I?
Oh, Fanny.
Silence, Thomas Barrett! How dare you speak to me? You deceived me for the last time.
Fanny, listen to reason.
I won't. I've suspected you all along. I've been warned about your attentions to a blonde. I know all about the letters. Letters? Don't pretend innocence. I know all.
Fanny, you're making a mistake.
Mistake? Can't I believe the evidence in my own eyes? Don't I find you here alone with this woman, the door locked, and drinking together? Oh, Thomas, how would you treat me so?
Oh, my dear.
Don't touch me, you deceitful wretch. And you, madam.
I dare you accuse me of such a Me drinking?
There's the evidence. I received a telephone message saying you were drunk.
Yes, I sent it.
I thought it was a woman's voice. So, madam, you tried to make trouble between my husband and me, didn't you? I know, it'll all come out in the trial.
Trial? What trial?
I'll show you both up in court
In court for what?
when I commence my suit.
Your suit for what?
For divorce, of course.
Oh, no.
Absolute
Oh, no.
divorce.
You act like an idiot.
Oh, I do. I'll show you how much of an idiot I am.
Why, I've only met Miss Peckham but twice in my life. I came here to see Mr. Peckham on business, and oh my goodness, she's fainted. Now you see what you've done. We ought to have some smelling salts, your cologne, perhaps a bit of brandy. Oh, that will do. Let me have that other glass. Lord knows she needs it. Well, that seems to have brought her around.
Hello, Mrs. Barrett. Hello, Mr. Barrett. Mrs. Bennett, I am surprised that you accuse me of being here with your husband. Why, I'm from Kentucky, I think. I come from the finest family in Louisville. I am very proud of my lineage, very proud of my lineage, madam, very proud.
Oh, my dear, you're here. Oh, how do, Mrs. Barrett? Merciful Providence, whiskey.
You didn't think it was maple syrup, did you?
Well, there's no necessity for that.
I think there is.
That is a very good idea, a very good idea. Let him tell us all he knows for us, and he'll tell us how that bottle got in here.
Somebody brought that liquor in here.
Well, I certainly hope nobody suspects me. I was out at the time.
I don't know, of course, I'm very suspicious, very suspicious. You two were the only ones that were in here.
Well, no, there was somebody else. You had forgotten about Hermione.
Who's Hermione?
Well, Hermione is a young woman who has been studying law with me here in the office.
Is that so?
Yes.
Yes, that's so.
Well,
Mr. Peckham! Mr. Peckham, here's the...
Oh, a can opener.
what's this? A corkscrew. The evidence is clear. What are you doing with a corkscrew, Hermione?
You see?
Well, aha, you see, she's confused. She can't even speak straight. Why, I am surprised at you, Hermione. You know my opinion regarding liquor. I'll have no drinking done in my office. Now here's the 20 that I owe you. Now take it and go, and do not return until you've reformed.
Why, Mr. Peckham, it's not 20 you owe me, it is 6!
Ha, you hear that? She says it's 6 instead of 20. Why, you can't even believe a word she says.
I do not drink!
Tut, tut. Denial is useless. Useless, I say.
Come here, Hermione, I want to read you something out of my manual.
No, I cannot permit that. I cannot allow a woman of your character to speak to my wife. Now go in the next room and I will speak to you there alone.
If you're going somewhere, take that bottle with you.
Well, Sarah, would you have me put further temptation in front of her? I cannot. Now go and do not come back until you have quit drinking.
Am I being discharged?
No, discharge, no. Just take 2 weeks vacation, that's all. Now get out. Well, she's gone. I would not have believed that of Hermione, but she confessed
To everything?
to everything. Now I really should take this accursed stuff and put it up out of the way.
Where are you going with that bottle, Horace?
Why, I am going to put it away.
Throw it out the window.
But my dear, I'm afraid I might hit somebody.
Don't argue, Horace. Throw it out the window.
All right, here goes.
There, we've done our duty.
Yes, thank heavens. Then you got the only 2 drinks that came out of that bottle.
And do you know, Horace, the only funny, the strangest thing about it was, it didn't affect me a bit.
Rye whiskey or rum, I'll drink it, says I. Raise up a glass and there's blood in your eye. I'll drink it all up and ask for some more. And if there's too much, I'll be here on the floor.
We're going to have a 15-minute intermission now. You can go over and introduce yourself to my cousins, Lemonade and Limeade.
Because they moved down
I'll wait for George to sit there. I'm George. I will read some more for you about drinking and prohibition. If you were not familiar with what was happening around the bars that have ceased to be, you may believe that every emporium was the happy hunting grounds for cocktails, cobblers, fizzes, and sours. As a matter of cold history, of all the liquid refreshments that were more or less in favor before the hurricane came along, only 2 staples were in a steady demand by the regular trade or the common garden house variety saloon. These were beer and whiskey. Beer for the thirsty, and the red liquor for those who wish to induce, for at least a brief period, the sense of well-being. To serve drinks in the common run of places required no more technical skill than is needed to put food out in front of domestic animals. It was just a case of turning the faucet or slamming the old black bottle out on the bar with an empty glass of limited capacity and a chaser of plain water. Although once in a while, a patron with an educated gullet demanded ginger ale or clam juice or milk. Regarding the glass into which the slug was decanted, there were certain unwritten rules of etiquette meant to regulate the pouring, but these rules were not always observed. What was known as a gentleman's drink never approached the rim. In the barrel houses and out-and-out joints, it was taken for granted that the glass would be filled clear to the brim, and the receptacle was of stingy capacity, but it would be large enough to contain a real jolt, for the trade might be lost to some competitor with a larger heart. Any dealer who served a generous dose for a nickel, and there were plenty of 5-cent places, protected himself by cutting the goods with plain water and diluted prune juice, and sometimes he added a modicum of red pepper, because the real toper didn't think he was getting the genuine stuff unless he experienced the scorching sensation in the palate and along the entire length of his esophagus. Before he could choke to death and reach for the chaser to put out the fire. Not to drink your liquor straight was considered to be a sign of effeminacy. The idea was to uphold the reputation of a he-man, no matter what happened to the lining of his stomach. So a young man asked me after the first play if he was obviously a Purdue fan. He asked if Ross Aid was a cousin of mine. I can tell there are some people here that know who Ross Aid was. Ross Aid was not a man, Ross Aid was two men. My good friend David Ross and myself was the two names that built Ross Aid Stadium. I attended Purdue. I was in the 18th graduating class of Purdue University. And I love Purdue. And yes, they have become the benefactors of my success. So, it looks like we're all set up here. It looks like a mayor's office in Springfield, some state, USA.
Mr. Milford,
Well,
you're so awfully busy, I've come down to the station to meet him.
all right,
Shall I bring him up here?
sure. I haven't seen him for a year.
All right.
Is this the mayor's office?
Yes.
Is the mayor here?
He's in there.
Thanks.
But I don't think you better go in. He's very busy just now. They bite your head off.
Indeed. Do you know the mayor quite well?
Oh, yes.
Is it possible you're the young lady that's going to?
Yes. I thought everyone knew that. Everyone in Springfield, that is. Guess you're not from Springfield?
No, indeed. So you're going to marry?
Wally. He's the only son.
I see. And the mayor, is he, oh, really? And the mayor's a candidate for governor?
Oh, yes, and everybody says he'll get it.
I see. And is the mayor well-to-do?
He's terribly rich. He owns the street railway and the telephone company and the evening paper and the box factory and, well, just about half the buildings on Main Street.
I'm glad to hear it.
I'm going to the train.
Oh, just one more thing. The mayor's son just home from college, I believe.
No, he stopped over at Binghamton. I'm going to ask the train to meet him.
Mr. Milford,
Haven't you gone yet? What do you want now?
I want to see you.
When I'm busy, you know better than to hang around. Oh,
Is this Mayor Milford?
yes, ma'am. That's my name. But I don't want a subscription for books.
Oh, I'm not a book agent.
Selling tickets for a benefit?
No, indeed.
Maybe you're one of them lady reporters.
Not at all.
All right. Glad to see you. Sit down.
Mr. Milford, I've come to see you on a matter of great importance.
All right, all right. Here, save your tears until you told me your whole story. That's got something to do with the man.
Yes, sir.
Well, sure thing. Hold your horse while I telephone. Hello? Hello? Give me the Evening Courier. Hurry up, this is the mayor. Evening Courier, city editor. Jump to it, this is the mayor. City editor, this is the mayor. Take this down. Ready? Walter Gillespie Milford, only son of the mayor, arrived in Springfield this morning, having recently completed his course at Atwater College. He made a brilliant record in both scholarship and athletics. What's the matter?
Never mind.
Young Mr. Milford will immediately take charge of some of his father's most important business interests. And when the mayor is elected governor this fall, he will take entire charge. As we have already announced, he will shortly lead to the altar one of Springfield's fairest daughters.
Oh! Oh! Oh!
Madam, I think you enjoy doing that. What's the trouble now?
Oh, why did you say those cruel words?
What cruel words?
Your son, you said he's gonna be married?
Yes, ma'am, what of it?
You never told me.
Maybe not. Couldn't tell everyone.
He deceived me.
Who deceived you? That kid of mine?
He pursued me.
Say, who are you? What is your name?
Genevieve Leclerc.
Circus name.
I'm a poor manicure girl.
Girl, eh?
I went to Atwater to work.
Atwater to work. The college boys, sure thing. Beg your pardon. Don't let me interrupt your story. Go right ahead.
I met your son. He pursued me.
Pursued you? Great Scott!
He bought me presents.
Hold on. I bought those presents. He merely delivered them.
He made love to me. I thought he intended to marry me.
Marry you? Why, you're old enough to be his.
I beg your pardon. I did not come here to be insulted.
Well, where does she usually go? Why did she come here?
To demand justice or...
Damages.
That's right, damages.
Now we're getting down to business.
I followed your son.
Yes, you followed him so fast you got here before him.
I had letters from him.
Letters? Did that young pinhead write?
You'll enjoy hearing them at the trial.
Trial?
For breach of promise.
Now, hold on just a second. Let me see if I understand this case. College boy with too much money to spend meets blonde manicurist down by the buzzwagon where the near beer flows. I'm afraid to go home in the dark. Wise manicurist learns that Papa has money, decides to get some of it. Am I right?
The facts will come out of the trial.
There isn't going to be any trial.
Isn't there?
No, ma'am.
There will be unless...
Now, Cleopatra, what's that name again?
Genevieve Leclerc.
All right, Jenny, before I go any further with you, I'm going to get Atwater on long distance, talk to the chief of police, and get a line on you.
That'll take too long. I can't wait.
Only take a few minutes. I own the telephone company.
We're at Waterman,
Aha!
coming home.
Uncle Big Boy has arrived.
Hello.
And we're here to stay.
He's here, he's here.
Yes, I see he's here.
All the boys from the academy down at the train, they were all gathering around and shouting, "What's the matter with Milford?"
That's the stuff. Oh, I know what's wrong with him.
Oh, I forgot someone was here.
Yes, lady came by, dropped off some important papers to me. A real estate deal.
Oh,
Madam, I'll ask you to step into my private office while I discuss a few family affairs.
I did not come here to be put in any private office.
Where does she usually go? I know, but all the same, just step in this way.
I'll not be kept waiting long, understand that.
Yes, sir, you'll find a used companion on the table.
what a peculiar woman.
Yes, all these businesswomen are peculiar, very eccentric. I'll telephone the glad news to Wally's mother.
This will be a happy day for Mrs. Milford.
I hope so. Hello?
There's a crowd all gathering around him now, shaking hands. Aren't you proud of him?
I'm very proud of him. I'm just trying not to show it. Hello? Hello?
What's the matter?
If I didn't own the telephone company, I'd say the service is rotten. Hello? Say, Central, wake up! Wow.
It's broken.
cab waiting. Go right up to the house and tell
Miss
my wife.
Milford, why don't you use the other phone?
What other phone?
That one?
Never mind that. Jump into the
But
cab.
Mr. Milford, why don't you phone?
If you must know, that isn't a phone at all. It's a dummy.
Dummy?
A man in politics gets many people coming to pester him every day. When I want to get rid of someone, I call myself up on the phone, like this.
And call yourself up how?
Don't you see? I push this button, so. Phone rings, I rush over, pretend I get an important call, get rid of the pest. Great idea, eh?
Just press this button. Well, that isn't the funniest.
I know, but you jump into the cab and tell my wife our innocent offspring has arrived. Now, Jenny, you're sequestered a few minutes more.
Dad!
Wally, my boy, glad to see you. How are you?
I'm finer than silk.
I
Glad to be home.
I bet you are. Got your degree, did you?
I'm a master of arts.
Master of arts, eh? I bet you mastered all the arts. The art, for instance, of inhaling cigarettes. Or the art of putting down 15 balls in one run. Or the art of...
You're just like everybody else. You think us college fellows don't work. Well, I've had a very busy year.
Yeah, so I understand. Hope you didn't study too hard.
No, I took good care of myself.
That's very gratifying. No shenanigans?
What do you mean?
I mean, you haven't been buying any lemonade and lobsters for any chorus ladies, have you?
Certainly not.
Certainly not. How foolish of me to ask. Milliners?
Why, no.
Dressmakers?
Dressmakers?
Manicurists?
What do you mean?
Oh, nothing at all. Just want to make sure you're behaving yourself, that's all.
Well, Father, you know that I...
Yes, I know that you've got the best mother a boy ever had. I know you're engaged to marry the sweetest girl in this town. And I hope that you recognize these two important facts while filling this with rich and precious knowledge.
Well, of course. Spent a good deal of money.
Of course you have. That's okay, I'm not kicking. As long as we don't have to spend a lot more.
I don't follow you.
That's okay. You're home now. Ready to settle down, get married, and become a great businessman.
Yes, Dad. Someone at the door.
You hear that too?
There's somebody in there.
I believe there is.
Mr. Milford,
Why, it's a woman. Say, Dad, have I caught you?
It looks like that.
Mr. Milford,
Well, she wants to get out.
I suppose she does.
Say, Dad, I will give you away.
My noble boy, I will admit to you, there is a woman in there. But as a man of the world, you readily understand that a politician has to be mighty careful.
Sure, that's one of the things I learned in college.
So you won't give me away, will you?
Certainly not. I'm a good sport.
My good sport, welcome to the family circle. Say, why don't you let her out? She'll surprise you.
Come on, madam.
Genevieve.
If you're such a good sport, now's the time to show it.
Genevieve,
Genevieve,
what are you doing here?
I'm here to see you. You wrecked my life.
See what you've done? You wrecked her life.
What?
Come and sit down, both of you. Let's get at the facts. Now then, did you give little Jenny here attention?
Why, I chased around with her more or less.
Why? Tell me that. Why?
Brute.
mighty few girls in a college town. Genevieve was popular. To get ahead of the others, I had to.
Lay it on thick, mush, taffy.
Yes, sir.
I should say he did. He said I was his affinity.
Well, I thought you could take a
A
joke.
joke? A woman, no matter what age, never regards lovemaking as a joke. You didn't spring that affinity chestnut on her, did you?
Yes, sir.
Don't you know that only married men go chasing after affinities?
He just the same as proposed.
Not guilty!
You let me
Anyhow, you wrote to her. You, the son of a politician. Tell him anything you want, but in the future, get a rubber stamp.
I guess I made a fool of myself, but I didn't mean anything.
Of course you didn't. The chump who rocked the boat didn't mean anything.
Well, I didn't suppose that.
Now, see here. You've been studying for 4 years. You think you know. But there's one subject about which you'll never know much. Whether you studied 40 years. And that's woman. Woman was created merely to keep man guessing. I know. I guess. You go wait outside 5 minutes, and maybe I could settle this thing for you.
Only one way to settle it.
Sorry to get you into trouble.
Yes, yes, I appreciate your sorrow. Madam, you may be the best little manicurist in the world, but you're not going to trim me.
Indeed.
Indeed. You know that one word of scandal would break his mother's heart. You know he's engaged to marry a sweet, innocent girl. You know that I'm making a fight for governor, and this thing has to be kept quiet. Furthermore, you know that I've got a bundle, and you figured you could shake me down.
What if I do figure that way?
I'll stand by that, boy, right or wrong. But listen, if you were young and innocent, and I thought he'd wronged you, I'd make him toe the mark and do the right thing by you. But you're no spring chicken. You've been up and down the road a whole lot and know all the bumps.
Mr. Milford.
No fool boy, college boy can take you by the hand and lead you anywhere you don't want to go. You have no more claim against that boy.
Well, let the jury decide that.
There isn't going to be a jury, madam. You're for flushing. You know this thing has to be kept quiet. How much do you want for those letters?
$10,000.
If I give you $10,000, will you destroy the copies?
Copies?
Aha! It's evident you don't have any copies. It's evident that you haven't played the game of politics as we do in my district. Rule number 1. Lock the copies up in a safety deposit box and do your business with your originals.
Oh. Surely you wouldn't.
All I have to do is call for the police. There'll be a little line in the evening paper. Crazy woman calls on mayor. You'll be put on the next train out of town. The police will hand over the letters to me. You forget, I'm mayor here. I own this town.
Is that the way you treat women in this town?
That's the way we treat blackmailers. This may be a J-town, but we know all about the 3rd degree.
Ha! You're just trying to frighten me. Arrest me? Run me out of town?
No, but I got a right to. When a woman kicks off her petticoat and starts to fight a man at his own game, she doesn't deserve any mercy.
Ha! You're just trying to frighten me.
I called up Atwater.
Oh, you did.
You cut this line, and you forgot forgot about that phone up there. Will you excuse me while I answer this phone? Hello? Atwater, Chief of Police? This is Mayor Milford of Springfield. A woman calling herself Genevieve LeClaire, claiming to be a manicurist, is here trying to hold me up. Who is she?
You have no right to insinuate that.
Yes, she's blonde. Bleached, is she?
A lie, it's natural.
What is her real name? McEvil? You don't say. Has she been mixed up with any college boys? Get out, dozens of them, eh?
I merely met them.
Where's her husband?
Oh!
I really think you do enjoy doing that. Madam, don't faint in here. Here, Jenny, get up. Why should the mere mention of a husband cause you to keel over like that?
I have no husband. He deserted me.
Well, when we go into court, we'll let him tell the jury why he deserted you.
It is cruel of you to bring up my unfortunate past.
It is foolish of you to have an unfortunate past. Especially if you're going to court. Jenny, you played a nervy game for high stakes, but you can't put it past. I've got your number. Why don't you hand those letters over to me and then quietly walk out of town?
No, never.
Uh-oh. Will you excuse me while I pretend to answer the phone again? Hello? Detective headquarters? Yes, the woman is still here. No, I don't want to have her arrested unless I have to. Yes, plainclothesman in the corridor. Good idea. Hold on there. We're not through yet, Jenny.
Are you a gentleman?
No, ma'am. I'm a practical politician. And I am the father of an irresponsible idiot who needs my protection. Do I get those letters?
You're not going to disgrace me or humiliate me?
Certainly not. Walter, get in here! I'm ashamed of you. You have compelled me, a tender-hearted man who wouldn't hurt a fly, to bluff and bully rape a defenseless woman. I want you to apologize to this lady for her affection.
Well,
Go ahead.
Genevieve,
Yeah.
I've acted like a mutt. You see, I was engaged to another girl. Didn't think you'd take it seriously. I apologize.
It's okay. I had no right. I did care for you though, and when I heard,
Wally, your mother wants me to bring you right up in the cab. Oh,
Oh, Ruth, Miss LeClaire, Miss LeClaire, Miss Foster, gonna marry my son.
I'm glad to meet you.
I wish you the utmost happiness.
Miss LeClaire, here's the amount we agreed upon, $1,000. I'm certain you'll find it correct. I would give you a check, but I'm so well known in banking circles in town, I prefer using currency.
Come on, Wally, your mother's waiting.
Oh, wait till I phone Billy Johnson. He doesn't know I'm here.
Oh, that's not a phone. It's a dummy. It isn't catches me outside. You see, when Mr. Milford wants to pretend to get a phone call, he just comes over here, presses this button here. Isn't that a cute idea?
Wonderful.
Yes, dear.
Genevieve.
Genevieve. It's a pleasure to meet the real member of the family. Say, how did you know I was a grass widow?
Experience, Genevieve, experience.
Why don't we go to lunch together?
You trot along, Jenny. You got yours. I had mine 30 years ago.
We'll have another intermission. And if you did abide in lemonade or limeade or whatever, the bathrooms are right through that door. He's back. Can't keep George down. I'm going to read some more for you from the Old Time Saloon. The drinking habits of the majority during the decades which preceded the appearance of Mr. Volstead, we all know what Volstead Act, right? Okay. Were entirely different from those which are now undercover in speakeasies, soft drink parlors, garages, haymows, and the homes of the elite. More on that later. What are the scofflaws drinking now? If we are to believe all we read in the magazines, Scotch and gin. Bless your soul. Scotch was practically unknown in the common run of the mill saloons in America until late in the 90s, 1890s. It seemed to arrive with golf and spread in popularity. It did, I saw it. It seemed to arrive with golf and spread popularity as more and more people began to dally with the ancient and honorable pastime. With the sudden demand for many brands of smoky Scotch came the highball. No one in a working man's exchange or a farmer's home ever heard of such a thing as a highball. And if any consumer had insisted on drowning his copper-distilled Kentucky bourbon in a large quantity of that cheap fluid which they put under bridges and sprinkled their lawns with, he would have been hooted off the premises. There seemed to be no sense in taking a shot that had been so weakened that it lost the kick and was robbed of all authority. Gin was a dominating theme song of most of the well-known cocktails, but your typical dispenser in the sawdust places didn't want to fuss with cocktails, and he had a certain contempt for them as a weak substitute for honest-to-goodness liquor, and fit only for dudes and weaklings. Tom Moran had a famous place on Randolph Street in Chicago, reputed to carry the only highest grades of pure corn whiskey that had been properly aged in wood. I like Tom. His small establishment was regular headquarters for the top aristocracy of bourbon connoisseurs. Tom drew an occasional mug of beer with extreme reluctance, but he absolutely refused to compromise the standing of his establishment by serving any kind of mixed drink. If one of the gentlemen in the lineup expressed a preference for a gin daisy or a dry martini, Tom would simply request him to leave quietly without causing a disturbance. Those who railed at the traffic always referred to the retail dealers as rum sellers, but that was all wrong. They sold very little rum, because this dark and highly aromatic distillation was not a drink, but merely a guaranteed remedy for bronchitis. So a lady asked me during the break, this last break, she asked me if I'd ever married. And the answer to that question is no. Got out of college and was working for pennies. Didn't have enough money to even go on a date, let alone get married. And then when I started to make some money, I was way too busy. Traveling the world, writing. I love to write. And it's probably a good thing that I never got married. Over at Hazelton, we used to have some pretty darn good parties. The train came through Brook at that time. And many, many people would come down, and I'd have horses and carriages and wagons and everything waiting at the train to bring them out to Hazelton, and we would have a good time. And if they didn't make the train back that night, that's okay. I had 6 bedrooms in that house. So they hit the train the next day. I also took the train into Chicago a lot. It was fun to go up there and rub elbows with all those that thought it was really something to rub elbows with me. So our next set is a restaurant somewhere near 5th Avenue in New York. We would like to present Ned.
I am on time.
Good evening. Are you the
I'm to dine here with a young lady. I'm sure this is the corner.
Oh, well, this table is reserved, but I'm sure.
Oh, that's too bad. I thought that maybe, oh, it's all right. Miss Valentine, I'm to dine with her.
Oh, yes, of course. She phoned.
Oh, bully, then it's all right. Say, help me off with my coat.
I'll take them to the photograph.
Very good. And if you stand by tonight attentive-like, I will give you my business card before I leave. I cannot shake the feeling that I have seen you somewhere before.
Perhaps, sir. I was at the University Club and
No, it wasn't there.
Rector's and, oh, I've worked several places.
I know where it was. It was right here. About a year ago.
Almost a year now, sir, yes.
And I was dining with the same young lady, and the screens were set just this way.
The table is near the doorway, and Miss Valentine finds it rather drafty without the screens.
Funny you should remember about the screens.
In order to be a good waiter, one must remember many things.
And forget a few, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, hustle my coat off the cloakroom. Let's get started. Great Scott, it's nearly 7:30. I cannot get used to these 7:30 dinners. When it gets dark, I want to eat.
Your check will be here presently.
Oh, good. Waiter, I want to put these posies on a plate just so that when she picks them up, she finds this underneath.
A horseshoe? Good luck. They're diamonds.
Oh, they are real, sure enough diamonds. It put an awful crimp in 1 month's salary. Would you leave it in the box?
As a rule, they leave it in the box.
As a rule.
Jewels are more effective against the black plush background than against the dead white of the tablecloth. And besides, there's the name on the lid. Tiffany.
Strikes me you're fairly wise. She ought to be here by now. I don't want to order till she comes. Maybe we should get something cold. I wonder what kind she likes.
Cliquot, sir.
Gee, you got a good memory. I wonder what's happened to the little lady. You got a telephone?
You can take it out the door.
Oh, good. I'll see if she's got a number.
Waiter.
Yes, Mr.
Oh, you remember me. I've dined here several times. I'd like this table for this evening.
I'm sorry, sir, this table is reserved.
Now, I've heard about all that. Has he been here?
The gentleman is on the phone, but he'll be back.
I'll wait for him. Take these to the check room.
Sir, the gentleman assures me that he'll...
Now I'll attend to all of that. Send in a messenger.
A messenger? Must be some mistake.
No mistake at all. I need a messenger immediately.
Very well, sir.
Oh!
That's all right. Don't mind me. I'm just the working girl.
Are you the messenger girl?
No, I'm the house detective. Do I look like a fire department to you?
No impertinence, if you please. I want you to go over to suite number 12, the Alfalfa apartment building. and-
Write it down, write it down. I can't remember the names of all these joints.
This is not a joint. It is an apartment building.
All right, Bo, don't get peevish.
The Alfalfa apartment building. Go to suite 12. You'll probably find there a communication addressed to Mr. Nichols. If it isn't there, wait for it. As soon as you get it, I want you to bring it back to me here in a hurry. My man will be there.
Yeah, I know. The guy with the vest.
Go on now, get out of here.
Fine telephone system they got here. Must be owned by some mayor.
Your name is Donaldson?
Yes, sir.
You're waiting here to dine with a young lady?
Am I?
Well, the young lady will not dine with you. She did not receive your note. I took the liberty of intercepting.
Oh, I guess not. The lady I'm to dine with is due here almost any minute.
Well, here's the note that you sent to her apartments. I opened it, read it, and am now bringing it back to you.
Oh, that's immense. You must be the outraged... What? You must be the outraged something.
I'm her friend. A very good friend, I hope.
Well, you better be to get away with this. You have sidetracked my note, and are here for the purpose, I suppose, of licking me. Well, let's get started. Let's upset a few screens and break some china.
Well, Nothing of the sort. I've come to you to explain to you a situation and to appeal to you, hoping that I will find you a decent sort of chap who will do the honorable thing.
Well, I have no certificates on me, but I claim to be up to about the average in human decency. Say, this is all great to me. Come down to cases. You're worked up about something.
I am worked up, as you put it. I'm deeply interested in Nettie, Miss Valentine. I know the dangers besetting a young woman in this town, especially if the young woman is charming, beautiful, and as you might say, unprotected. May I ask how well you know Miss Valentine?
Well, rather than taking the trouble of coming around the table and knocking you over that screen, I will answer your question. Not because I believe you have license to hold me up for explanation, but because I've got nothing to hide. Sit down. I am a mining engineer for some big properties out west, backed by Eastern Capital. So I'm back here a few weeks every week. I had occasion to meet Miss Valentine to dine with her. She is a charming girl, a nice girl.
She is.
Now, I'm not a professional trapper.
Trapper?
Oh, you can see by looking at me that I cannot take any woman by the lily white hand and lead her anywhere she don't want to go. I just had the opportunity to relieve Miss Valentine of some embarrassments which might befall any young woman at the outset of her career. When I was out west, I heard from her occasionally. Yesterday, I saw her in the street. I was glad to see her. She told me how lonely she would be this Christmas Eve, so far from family.
Yes. She thought I would be out of town.
Well, I had previous dinner plans, but I told her that if I could cancel them, I would let her know. I canceled my engagement. I dropped a note around her apartment. She was out at the time, but I suppose it's all right, for she reserved this table. She phoned for it.
Yes, as soon as she had learned that I was back in town.
Oh, I'm beginning to get a line on things. So you are the white-haired boy, are you?
I don't like your tone, sir.
And I don't like your way of doing business. Out west, where I spend most of my time, this would call for gunplay. You got a nerve on you hanging around a young woman's apartment and opening up her correspondence.
I will explain. Perhaps you are entitled to an explanation. See, I thought I should have to remain with my father's people in Baltimore, but I simply tore myself away and came up on the new train to give Nettie, Miss Valentine, a surprise. I seldom go to her apartments. You know it does not look well. I went because the time was very short. I wanted her to know. She was out. I waited. Your note arrived, and I have a jealous nature, I will admit. She has told me often of the attempts to lure her.
Lure.
Lure. So, I intercepted your note, left a brief scribble letting her know to dine here with me. This is our favorite corner.
So when are you and Miss Valentine to be married?
Married? I don't think Nettie has an ambition in the world except to fit herself for a great career. She thinks only of her voice.
Oh, for heaven's sake, what are you, her manager?
I have told you, I'm simply her friend.
How long have you known Miss Valentine?
Really, you are inquisitive.
You bet I am when a man is elbowed in the way you have.
Your checks, gentlemen.
Let us not lose our tempers. Oh, waiter.
Yes, sir.
Cliquot, very cold.
It's already cooling, sir.
Great, you're a mind reader.
Well, I'm waiting.
Under the circumstances, perhaps you are entitled to know why I take such unusual liberties with Nettie's correspondence. You see, in the first place, I have known Miss Valentine about 2 years. We met by rather unusual circumstances. You see, I was walking down Fifth Avenue one pleasant morning. She was ahead of me. I passed her several times. You see, as I would stop to look in the shop windows, she would get ahead of me again. She carried a small music roll. She happened to drop it. I was quick and picked it up and hurried to overtake her. And when I returned it to her, she was most thankful and, funny enough, seemed to recognize me as an old acquaintance named
Clark.
That's right, Clark. She must have told you. It was very amusing.
Oh, it amuses me greatly. Did you ask if you might call upon her?
As I remember, she wouldn't listen to any such suggestion. At first, she wouldn't come out to dinner, only luncheon.
And she told you of her family's social prominence in Altoona, of the encouragement given to her by her teachers, and all that.
My dear sir, I have been her confidant ever since. You take a young woman like that, of surpassing physical charm, a young woman who would attract attention anywhere, and let her be living alone in New York, of all places under the sun. And she needs somebody to stand between her and...
And such fellows as me.
I know nothing about you, sir, but you will agree with me that there are in this town...
There are undoubtedly. Will you pardon me this question? You never ventured, that is, you never dared, offer Miss Valentine financial assistance. How about it?
Well, after I had known her about 6 months, I felt I had the right to give her the piano.
Is she making a collection of pianos?
What do you mean?
I mean, did she take it?
She did, under protest. She was most grateful.
Steinway?
Certainly.
Don't that beat all?
questions are intended to conceal any insinuations, I want to tell you, sir, that you are doing Nettie a great disservice. She came here to study. She has received much encouragement from prominent people. You see, her family is not wealthy. By merest chance, that is, by being with her, I've learned something of her struggles.
Oh, say, did you buy a sable coat for her?
It is a lie!
What's that?
I'm sorry, but I did not. I merely loaned her the money. She insisted upon giving a note, even compelled me to put in a provision for interest.
6%?
I believe it was 6%. Remarkable, wasn't it?
Yes, but it shows the right spirit, don't it?
I thought so too. You know, any time that I insist upon doing something for her, she has to make a record of it. You take a young girl like that, who is well-bred and has an independent spirit, and she doesn't like to be under obligation to anybody.
Certainly not. She's down here to study music and bookkeeping.
Now you stop it! You're just like a lot of the other men. You don't seem to realize that a man may be helpful and even generous in a case of this kind without seeking to establish any relationship other than that which might be prompted by, let's say, keen brotherly interest.
I understand it. Oh, I understand it fully. I could write a book about it.
Now you begin to understand my position.
Why, sure. In view of the piano and the sable coat and the 6%, I see you have a claim which cannot be disputed, set by someone else with a similar history in regard to pianos and sable coats, promissory notes.
I don't follow you.
Oh, I assure you that my present tone is not one of sarcasm. In fact, I'm predisposed to retire and meditate upon the open-heartedness of mankind in general. You have undoubtedly earned the blessed privilege of dining with Miss Valentine this evening. I shall withdraw. It might embarrass her to have us both here.
I think it would.
Oh, you bet it would. Oh, say, can you give Miss Valentine a Christmas present for me? Tell her to pin it to her sable coat and lay it on the piano, just underneath the inscription which reads, "The Lord loveth a cheerful giver."
A diamond horseshoe! Well, this is a funny coincidence. I brought her a diamond horseshoe as well. How did you know?
Oh, I didn't. Only that she said several times that she thought a diamond horseshoe would bring her good luck.
Remarkable.
And at that, I don't think she needs it.
I declare.
That's not some mud you got over in your flat.
Why, it's from Nettie.
What
Wonder
you
if I-
opening here, a jewelry store?
Wonder if I have time for this Dillingham show.
Say, Reginald, I'd pay one bone for the taxi.
Go on away.
Well, but you're a tightwampus. Merry Christmas, and I hope you fall down and break your leg.
This is too bad.
What's up? What's the matter?
I'll read it to you. I want you to hear it because it corroborates what I've been telling you about Nettie. My dear Freddie, you were a bad, bad boy. Why didn't you let me know that you were coming back from Baltimore? I cannot dine with you this evening because I have promised to go over on the west side and sing at a Christmas entertainment for the waifs of the rescue mission. Were I entirely selfish, I should plead illness and then hurry to meet you in our own dear, cozy little corner in the palm room. And yet, surely you will not be too angry with me when you know that tonight I'm trying to bring a little sunshine and Christmas cheer into the lives of those poor little tots over there in the slums. Lovingly, Nettie. Now what do you think of that?
Christmas Eve in a big city.
Well, I thought... Say, waiter,
Yes, sir.
Miss Valentine is not coming this evening, and yet she's reserved the table. Here's her name on the card.
That's right. You said she had phoned for it.
I'm guilty of a slight omission, sir. Miss Valentine did phone, but not today.
How does it come that her name is on the card?
If you gentlemen really must know, the fact is, this table is reserved for Miss Valentine every evening.
You mean to say that she comes here every evening?
I have known her to miss, but as a rule,
Well, I only came with her once a week.
My friend, would you drop if a brick house fell on you? If Miss Valentine isn't coming, then I suppose we can get to know each other. We're practically brothers-in-law after all.
Then you suggest we dine here, together?
Well, I don't have much of an appetite anymore, but I could drink a lot of stuff.
Waiter, have you got everything? Why, I thought,
Well,
Hello, Jenny.
why, hello. How are you? What are you two doing here?
Oh, we're just sitting here.
Why, I didn't even know that you guys knew each other.
We don't. Introduce me to your friend.
Why, certainly. Mr. Donaldson, this is Mr. Nichols.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you.
Must be a mix-up somewhere. Thought I could get this table this evening.
Oh, you can have the table all right.
Well, thanks. Thanks ever so much, old chap.
You can have it as far as I'm concerned.
That's bully of you. I don't like to come in here and force you fellows out, but, oh, waiter,
yes, Mr. Bates?
plenty of Clicquot.
I knew you were
Very
coming.
cold.
It's quite frappé by now.
I hate to come in here and crowd you fellows out, but
Oh, it's fine. We're leaving anyway.
It's all right. We were here to meet somebody, and they just didn't show up.
that's tough. Ladies?
Hey, lady.
Lady.
Do you know, I've noticed one thing about you young fellows. You can catch them, but you can't hold them. What do you say to a drink before you go? Waiter,
Yes, sir.
3 perfect cocktails, shaken, not stirred.
Yes, sir.
I do hate to come in here and crowd you fellows out.
Oh, let up. You're welcome to the table.
Well, I would like for you fellows to stay long enough to take one fleeting glimpse of the goddess who's going to share my Christmas Eve with me. She is the daintiest, the sweetest, the most demure, the most ingenuous.
Oh, cut it out.
Really, she is. And she's an awfully nice girl. My whole little affair with her is like a romance taken straight out of a storybook. I know my reputation is a little Scrooge-ish, but once I am really and truly the unselfish, guileless, fatherly old Santa Claus. I happened to meet her under the most peculiar circumstances. I came out of the plaza one day last spring and started south along the avenue. She was just ahead of me. I noticed her, of course. She would attract attention anywhere. She had a music roll under her arm. She happened to drop it. I picked it up and hurried to overtake her. When I returned it to her, she held out her hand to me. Thought she recognized me as an old friend. She thought it was a Mr.
Clark.
How the devil do you fellows know that? How do these things get out? They tell one or two men at a club, and they tell everybody. Have you heard about her?
I don't know. What's her name?
No, this isn't one of those cases at all. I walked home with her in the twilight. She was afraid to go home alone. By George, I don't think I've ever had such an experience with any other girl in my life. Why, it was months before I could feel like I was at all acquainted with her. She really is a charming creature and wonderfully talented. She's here studying.
Is she still studying?
I think so.
Does she have anything else to learn?
Why, it's her voice, you know. Her teachers say that she will have a wonderful career. She practices for hours every day on the little piano that I gave her on her last birthday.
When was her birthday?
In September.
Sure it wasn't January.
Or April?
She told me September.
All right.
Oh, I know what you young rowdies think. But what do you say to this? I wanted to give her a sable coat. Winter was coming, and it was important that she protect herself while going to and from the studio.
With the music roll under her arm, I suppose.
I dare say. Do you think she would accept that coat? No, sir.
So she froze to death, is that it?
No, sir. I finally got her to accept the coat. She gave me her note, all made out. Going to pay it as soon as she makes her first concert to her. Even insisted on paying interest.
The 6%.
No, it was 8%.
My God.
Money is tight in New York, isn't it?
I don't think I've ever been interested in the same way in any other woman. And that doesn't call for any sarcastic observations either. Do you know what I bought her for a little Christmas present?
Yes.
No, you don't either. You think it's a sunburst or something like that. Just a simple diamond horseshoe. Take a look at that. Isn't that a beauty?
I like it very much.
It will be a great surprise to her.
I happened to learn in a purely accidental manner that it was something that she had wanted for a long time. She has this peculiar, superstitious belief that it will help her with her career. I think I'll just put it under the flowers. I would like you gentlemen to stay long enough, though, to say howdy do, but she really meets very few people.
I understand that. New York isn't a very large town.
Ah, here we are. Christmas comes but once a year.
And I'm not in favor of making it semi-annual.
Amen.
Gentlemen, I'm going to propose a little toast. You don't know her, but I am sure you will join with me in drinking to Nettie.
Nettie.
Mr. Bates,
Yes.
the lady is in the waiting room. She does not wish to cross the palm room unescorted. Shall I tell her you'll come?
Tell her I'll be right in.
Yes, sir.
Oh, say, wait a.
Yes, sir.
How many sable coats is the lady wearing?
Only the one tonight, sir.
Billy, you have a very cheap Western sense of humor. You really shouldn't take such large drinks. Now, let's see. I'll just, Nettie will sit there. I'll just place this box under these flowers.
You mind if, Nettie, you think she'll mind if we leave our posies here?
I don't think so. I say, You will clear out like good fellows now, won't you?
Oh, why, sure. Good night, old man, and good luck.
Thanks. Same to you.
So long. Say, give our regards to, what's the name again?
Nettie.
That's right, Nettie.
That's okay. Have your little joke. Well, I can't keep her waiting.
Well, shall we?
Yes. Right here under the flowers.
It'll be such a great surprise to her.
Well, we must dine somewhere.
Oh, there's only one place to dine tonight.
Where's that?
The Follies.
All I want for Christmas is a diamond.
Scholarship that he mentioned at the beginning, many of you may know this name, a very deserving young man who is no stranger to the stage, Anderson Heine.
No, I'll let you keep that. I probably need it, but we'll do better without it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Carnegie Players have revived plays that are well over 100 years old, and they've breathed new life into them, and they've been presented to you tonight virtually word for word as they were written by George A. And their delivery and their presence on the stage this evening, I think, deserves a standing ovation, if you please. Come on.
Mr. Dave Boney, where are you at?
Thank you so much, sir. It's not a chicken and it's not a vegetable. More than pig.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate everything you've done for us.
Oh, I appreciate everything you all have done. Congratulations, and until next time,
Yes.
have a wonderful evening.